Produced by Podcast Architects.
Welcome back to another episode of The Path Forward. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Rick Fernandez, and we talk about education, innovation, and all things serving students. And today we're serving some of our older students, and we have some special guests. So please, Dr. Nate, introduce yourself first.
I'm Dr. Nate Templeton, and I'm department head and associate professor at A&M Commerce.
And
I'm Dr. Melissa Aaron-Beatty, and I am associate professor and doctoral program coordinator.
it feels like I can't get away from the A&M. Everything we've done is A&M affiliated somehow. We've had Javelinas, we've had you guys, we've got obviously our Aggies, so we are well entrenched within the A&M system. So tell me a little bit about how did you get started in education? How did you know, all right, I want to go help students and do it at a level where I'm helping the servers of kids?
Yeah, I think for most professors will probably agree that that passion starts early.
Okay.
And it's not something you say at one point, I want to go to higher ed and I want to be a professor. So for me, I was a band director and had a very...
Hold on, where at? I got to ask.
At Timpson
Yeah.
and Gladewater.
Okay.
And a little small place called
Yes.
Trinidad. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I knew early on that I wanted to be a band director. I was a trumpet player, was a good trumpet, good band kid, and a great band director. A guy named Mitchell Smith gave me a baton and an old Arthur Fiedler Boston Pops recording of marches, and I just sort of fell in love with it, and it became part of what I did in high school and in college. And then, once I got my doctorate, I knew that I did not want to be a performer or a professional conductor.
Right.
And so I went into ed administration. Did my doctorate at Liberty University and just love it. So I wanted an opportunity to share my passion for learning and leading with other people.
Are you in the band too?
I am not in the band.
We could have had
but
a
I
little
knew
quartet.
early
We could have been getting after it.
Yeah, that
Okay.
would not be pretty.
You got to have rhythm to get in the band.
Stop it. But I too knew early on that I wanted to do something with kids. And what better than to get into the field of education. So I came up through the ranks, started as a classroom teacher, and loved it, but knew that I wanted to do more, and eventually moved into campus administration and then went to central office administration. Combined, did that for about 15 years, and then thought, okay, now what's next?
You had enough. That's what yeah, exactly.
I mean, it was great. I love it, but I was ready to do something different. And so that's kind of how I landed in higher ed and thought, well, let me share some of my experiences and some of my learning with aspiring administrators.
Don't you think it's common, Melissa, that what next question, what's next question is common in administrators? You're on the campus level, you're in the trenches, you're doing the work, and at some point you go,
Yeah.
what's next?
I'm tired.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. As a recovering superintendent, yes.
Yes.
You give a lot of yourself, a lot of your soul. You pour it into the kids and the community and your teachers and your staff, and a lot of times it's the sacrifice of your own family.
Right.
I got three kids and a wife, and I'm a lot of times serving others, helping kids.
Sure.
So I understand. Just sometimes you got to take a deep breath. So let's talk a little bit. I love research, and if I weren't an educator, I could do a lot more of it and spend some time writing. And I found that love at Sam Houston State in my doctoral program. What is it that you're doing at A&M Commerce that you feel like is great for our next generation of leaders?
Well, we're student-centric for one, and we're all practitioners. And so I know in my class, and Melissa will speak to this as well, I prepare leaders as if they're going to work in my kid's school. Do I want...
Say that again, because that is something I have not heard from a higher ed.
I prepare leaders as if they're going to be the leadership of my kid's school. They're going to be the principal, the superintendent in my kid's school. And so it's a personal connection. What do they need to know beyond the textbook? How do they lead in a way that not only captures what's best for kids, but also makes a community collaborative environment out of it? And as superintendent, that community is important.
Sure.
And how you lead that community, whether it's in the school or outside the school, that's an important part of what we do. And so for me personally, my research areas are in brown boys, black boys, achievement gaps.
Sure.
That's a passion. Just as a black male, growing up in East Texas, where we did not have a lot of racial overtones and issues at that time, but we did have the same achievement issues and achievement gaps that are going on now. But I grew up in Kilgore, and it was like, we're going to do the best we can for kids. We're going to take this young man where he is now. We're going to take him as far as we can go and drop him off to what's next. And that has nothing to do with standardized testing. And I know that's the window we're in right now. It has more to do with what's best for young people. And so that same perspective in higher ed, they're not kids, although we're a bit older than a lot of them, but it's the same focus. How do I prepare this young man or this young lady to get out into the world and practice and be not only successful in what they're doing, but to inspire other people to be successful in their craft. And when you can do that from a leadership perspective, that's how you change the culture of a school and make a school a productive and environmental, an exciting place for kids to be.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that what you said has become, I've always used that when I'm speaking to teachers, like I have to ensure that whatever's happening in the classroom is just as of quality of what I would expect for my own kid, right? And so if I would not put my own children in a classroom with a teacher in a school district, then I've got to do some thinking about what's our priority and what do we have to have in terms of every student. So that's why I asked you to repeat that, because that has always weighed heavy on me. Is like I would never accept anything less for anyone's kid than I would accept for my own kid. So I've not heard that from a higher ed professional, and I know a lot of them. So I haven't heard that perspective. It's good to hear that perspective coming from a practitioner every day dealing with kids and administrators and teachers and community. So I just wanted to make that note. All right, I'm sorry. Give us your take. What are we doing?
Well, I think one of the movements is certainly online learning for all students, and especially for higher ed. And so while our doctorate program is 100% online, we have to make really concerted efforts to build those connections, build those relationships with our students. And I think that's something we do really well. It is not uncommon to see us presenting with our students.
As
yes.
I mentioned, when I visited one of your presentations, and you had students presenting with you.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, we present with them, we publish with them. We really work hard to build those relationships. Our residency requirement is built in there specifically and designed specifically to help us work with our students in building those connections, building relationships, and getting them out in the field, and we're out in the field with them.
What would you say, as you're seeing new students, I would assume every semester, what's the biggest need? What are some of the things like, okay, clearly our next crop are needing more of this, less of this? Anything that come to mind that you can kind of pinpoint on in terms of leadership?
Well, I think that as a whole, education needs to look less at testing in terms of how we use testing, and use testing more as a diagnostic tool.
Okay.
And so one of the things I teach a class called instructional administration. And so one of the things we do in there is we don't talk about 7 out of 10 correct or 70% or whether we're A district or E district. We talk about making the data real. That is, give the data a name. So where are the gaps? Where are the trends in the gaps? And more importantly, where are the misunderstandings in some of those gaps? When you do that, you get to the same end result. You're still talking about achievement and test scores, but it's more organic. Now it's student-driven, it's student-centric. And now I'm looking at how to make little Nate get from this level to this level, or little Johnny or little Melissa, rather than the school needs to make a 70, in order to keep our accountability record going. And I know that Dr. Aaron Beatty teaches a data class in the master's program and does a lot of the same. Melissa?
Yeah. We actually give our students many opportunities to work with real data. And we have an entire course that is built around them going in and pulling real data reports. And we sit there and we walk them through it, and we help them interpret the data, find meaning in the data, and then do the what's next part. We have really fashioned our entire master's program over the new testing requirements with the 268 and the PASL. So we really try to stay current with all of the different requirements, make sure our students are ready.
You hit on it, like the biggest piece that I see has been missing is the so what, right?
Yeah.
So now we know.
Right.
Now what?
Right.
What we're going to do with it. I want your perspective on this. I've always preached to our teachers and administrators that we get so involved in either remediation or all of these things for kids, and if we don't understand why they didn't get with our instruction the first time, that's probably where we got to start. And so I believe in building professional development around the first initial instruction. Like if I was going to say, where do you spend the majority of your time? It's there. And I always go back to a story about my wife and I, right? So the very first time we went on a date, I had a specific blue long sleeve shirt on. She made a comment about that specific blonde, something to the effect of that blue shirt. It is whatever, It was something. It was complimentary, but the way in which she said it was very specific, and so now I'm going back to that shirt time and time again subconsciously because I heard that was that something that she liked, right? And so that first initial instruction, when we have an opportunity to coach teachers or when we're in the classroom with them, the specificity of what we give them their first shot, because they're giving us their best on their first shot, right? You're not going to use your head and go, ask my wife on a date and think of my second best, opening line, right? It's always the best one. So when we start looking at remediation, I feel like, oh man, it's kind of, we're dealing with autopsy and we're trying to figure it out. But if we start with that best initial instruction, and the feedback is very specific on that best instruction, and I think that is a piece that we're kind of missing because we're just so, like you said, testing and data and remediation and tutorials, which we all need and will never stop. But I think we get that first shot down a little bit better. I think some of those problems, some of those gaps will ease, right? Because we have an opportunity there the first time we have the kids.
I think you look at, if you would, from this perspective, every teacher should be on a growth plan. Now, that's the T-test model. If you're a great teacher, how do you become an even greater teacher?
Right.
And if you're a moderate teacher, how do you become more proficient? That same understanding then should transfer to students. Where every student is on some sort of plan.
You're on a coaching plan.
Exactly right. Whether you're, meeting grade level, approaching grade level, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
How do you take students to the next level? And I think one of the things missing in education right now is the ability of leaders to coach teachers to improve practice.
Right.
And I know that's one of the focus that we're going to bring into our doctoral program, Dr. Mbidi, when we talk about those coaching models and bringing in how to become an instructional coach. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so we always are looking at different innovative ways to make our doctoral program unique and appealing and also practical. And as you know, superintendent certification is part of what a lot of our aspiring administrators are seeking. And so currently we have our superintendent certification program is built into our doctorate program, so they can actually earn 3 courses towards their doctorate degree while earning their superintendent certification. And so we're looking to expand those opportunities for our students and looking at maybe earning some kind of leadership coaching certification to go along, for those that are already superintendent certified, but they need something different. And we can build those courses and work and put those towards the credit hours of a doctorate degree.
Coaching is the other piece of it on the administrative side, that if I was going to invest all my time and resources, that would be it. I probably differ from a lot of my colleagues in, I hear a lot of the coaching is non-evaluative, it's a relationship. But then I think back to, no, I've never had a coach, basketball, I've never had a coach that didn't evaluate my performance.
Right.
Because that's exactly what it is. And my coach, so I played basketball at Sam Houston State. I didn't go a whole week without receiving feedback, and sometimes that feedback was critical of how I was practicing or my skill set or how I needed to improve. But that was coaching. You wouldn't expect, so band director, would you only practice 1 day a week and expect kids to be able to perform when it's time on Friday night? And I feel like we got to quit thinking that it's non-evaluative, and no, it is, because that's what your trainer at the gym. You go to the gym, do they just say, No, like, I'm here to help, and you understand that, and that's why we're here. And so this process is going to be, it's always evaluative, because how are you going to improve if you're not going to evaluate the success or the need to grow? So the relationship part, absolutely. but I'm not for the, well, it's non-evaluative. Well, that to me that means you can take it or leave it, right?
Right.
So I don't know. That's just my take. But coaching is absolutely, if you're not spending time on that, you know.
I think the underlying tenor of coaching as being an evaluation tool just has a different
It does.
undertone. I think is the goal of using T-test
Yeah.
as a coaching model.
Yes, and because our field, it has not, that's always been a scary term,
Yes.
right? The evaluation or
Yes.
what have you. But it's like anything else. If you start there, right? So if you've got new teachers coming in and, hey, this is just the way we do business, right? You're a new teacher on my campus, fresh out of the university system. Know that you're gonna be coached. I'm gonna give you some feedback. It's gonna be very specific, and I'm here to help you grow. And then eventually it just becomes part of what we do.
And the last part you said is really key. I'm here to help you grow.
Yes.
And so it's about relationships. It's not a I got you moment, although some evaluation instruments are used that way. But
Yes.
what we try to instill in all of our students, whether it's masters or doctoral, is leadership through presence.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have that understanding, then there is that relationship that you build with teachers. I'm here with you. I'm here a part of you. And so when I was a principal, I was in the classrooms, and when I was in the classroom, I was a student. So I participated like a student. I did labs with the students and with the teachers.
Yep.
And so when you're there that often, then you're just a fixture. You're a part of the process.
Yes.
And it's part of what's expected. And now when you talk to teachers and you're giving bite-sized improvement, hey, I saw this for 20 minutes today. This is great. Help me understand what the last, 2 or 3 things were about there.
Yep.
Hey, one great idea may be to kind of shift that around. What do you think about that? And then it's a conversation,
Right.
About growth between two professional educators.
No, absolutely. So that was, I know that it's hard because sometimes you come in as a new superintendent, new principal, and there's already a culture there. And so
Right.
you're working kind of 2 ways, right? Obviously you're responsible for the growth of the kids, and you're trying to grow the culture and instill your own culture within the system. So it can be tricky, no doubt. But we all enter this profession, and sometimes I think, well, there's not an expectation for us to continue to evolve and grow. Even though we all say, if you went to a room full of educators, they all say they're lifelong learners, right?
Right.
Exactly.
But what does that look like in practice? Like, that means, hey, this year, no matter if you're the first year or you're 20 year, we've got an expectation to continue to evolve, because guess what? The needs are evolving
For sure.
as we're there. So, all right. So I was asking off camera, what do y'all do for fun when y'all are not helping administrators get to their next level? So you said golf.
I like to golf.
What's your handicap?
It's ridiculous. And so I am the Barney Fife of golf. I have all the right stuff. I got the Nike golf stuff back when it was hot. And, but I don't play that well. I'm kind of a double, triple bogey golf guy most days,
That's not
but
bad.
it's just relaxing. It's about being outside, being with nature, chasing that little white ball around.
Do you have friends that you go with regularly?
Absolutely.
If I texted them right now, would they say you cheat?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, without a doubt.
No need to put it.
Yeah.
There's even no need to text them. They would just
No.
Okay.
Well, I mean, for me, it's almost like putt-putt. If you're at a tree,
Oh,
hey,
Lord.
just move it out a little bit, kick it up here and there. Yeah, they would probably say, yeah, Nate.
Just rolling it back on the green.
Nate takes some liberties there.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Hey, but I also like to cook.
Well,
Yeah.
so now we're talking. So
Yeah.
what's your go-to? If you're betting $1 million, what's your go-to dish?
Either a prime rib roast
Okay.
or pork butt.
Ah.
Yeah,
Okay, so you're a barbecue guy.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah, me too. I spent way too much money on a custom-made grill. I love every minute of it.
I grew up in a barbecue shack. My granddad, Papa Tucker, was a grill master. And
Really?
so, yeah, he had a barbecue business growing up. So I grew up with that. That was, just the everyday deal, going down and chopping wood and learning about wood, learning about heat and how heat transfers through, the barrel. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I've always enjoyed it, but really started when I was a high school principal. As just a stress relief.
No.
And I know who knew, right? And then I really got into it and got pretty good at it, and just now thoroughly enjoy it. I do all the cooking at home and try to do as much as I can. All the family events, yeah, as much as I can do. So, and you enjoy the beach.
I love the beach. And I do tend to get made fun of as a Latina. I'm not supposed to fry as badly as I do.
Burns like a turnip. She burns like a turnip.
It's good to know that you have colleague support when you're outside of the office.
It doesn't keep me from loving it. Does not keep me from loving it.
That's hilarious. Yeah, well, one of you cheating in golf, the other one's getting burnt up. So it sounds like a great pair. Well, I want to end with this. Like, I'm really excited that you've got practitioners helping our leaders. That's important, right? That's important. It's important to know that the people that are helping you, supporting you, your growth, have done it, understand what the struggle is, understand where the barriers are for kids, and so I want to commend you for that. And I also want to, advocate. Hey, there are so many great leaders out there. I mean, we need to get y'all's name out, because I get questions all the time about, hey, do you think I should get my doctorate? Where should I go? And how does it work best for me? So is there anything that y'all want to shout out, or how to get in contact with you guys if some of our aspiring administrators are looking to jump into the doctorate work?
Oh, absolutely. Please email me, call me, text me, melissa.arambeatty@tamuc.edu. We would love to work with you, and when we say that work with you, we really mean that. We are partnering with our students.
Yeah, and you can do tamuc.edu/EDL, and that'll take you to our departmental website, and it's full of information on all the programs that are there. Yeah.
I've got a lot of superintendent friends, and it's always great when we offer stuff to our staff. Do y'all have any satellite campuses, or would y'all be interested maybe in having some satellite campuses at certain districts around the state?
We have a satellite campus at Dallas, 8750 North Central Expressway, and then we lead through the cohort model.
Okay.
And so, it's possible to have a cohort that's where we look at data and solutions specific to your district, specific to your students, and we'll be happy to do that. You can contact Dr. Aaron Beatty for a doctoral cohort, and I can take care of the master's cohorts.
Fantastic. So how about this as we sign off? When y'all get up and running with the coaching component, maybe there's a time where we could come and speak to some of the students about their experiences. Particularly if it's somewhere, obviously you probably got students all over the state, but it would be good to get these up-and-coming administrators and what they're seeing and what they're experiencing.
Absolutely. We're using Dr. Aguilar's book, Coaching for Equity.
Okay.
So, I think that'd be wonderful.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, any last shout-outs before we sign off?
Hey, go Lions.
Go Lions. Thanks for having us.
It was my pleasure. Thank y'all for joining us.
Thanks.